Hey, and welcome to the AI Timeline channel. If you like the podcast, please leave a like and subscribe. Now have fun with the podcast. Today, we're diving into some really cool stuff. AI coding assistants. Specifically, we're going to be looking at Qwen 2.5 Coder.
Qwen 2.5 Coder.
Yeah,
Okay.
which is a series of open source code models from Alibaba Cloud.
Alibaba Cloud.
Yeah, and these are the kind of tools that promise to make coding, easier and faster and maybe even fun.
Yeah.
But we're going to see if they live up to the hype.
Well, the thing is, these aren't just empty promises. Alibaba Cloud is known for its strong tech, and they're really going all in on open source AI for coding.
Okay, so let's break it down. They keep using these words like powerful, diverse, and practical to describe Qwen 2.5 Coder. But what does that actually mean for someone who codes in the real world,
Good point. Let's start with powerful. The flagship model here is Qwen 2.5 Coder 32B Instruct.
What 2.5 Coder 32B Instruct?
Okay.
And what's really impressive is that it's been shown to match GPT-4's coding capabilities.
Hold on. Matching GPT-4?
That's the big name in AI everyone's talking about, right?
Exactly. And this means you're getting that level of sophisticated AI assistance, but from an open source model.
Okay.
No getting locked into a specific company's ecosystem.
So what can it actually do?
So what can it do? Well, it excels at generating new code, fixing errors in existing code, and even understanding the logic behind code, which is called code reasoning.
So it's like having a super smart coding buddy who can not only write code with you, but also understand what your code is trying to do.
That's a great way to put it. For example, in tests for code repair skills, specifically the AIDER benchmark, Qwen 2.5 Coder scored a 73.7.
73.7.
To put that in perspective, that puts it right up there with GPT-4.
Okay, so it can fix my messy code?
Yes.
That's definitely a plus.
Yes.
But what about this whole preference alignment thing? I read that it even beats GPT-4 in that area. What does that even mean?
That's a crucial point. It means that Qwen 2.5 Coder produces code that humans actually prefer. It's not just about functionality. It's about generating code that's readable, efficient, and follows human coding conventions. Basically code that other humans won't want to tear their hair out trying to understand.
All right, that makes sense. So it's not just mimicking patterns, it's actually learning how humans think about code.
That's pretty cool.
It is. And this leads us nicely into the diverse aspect of Qwen 2.5 Coder. It's not just one model. It comes in a whole range of sizes, from 0.5 billion to 32 billion parameters.
Okay, so more parameters mean a bigger, more powerful model.
Exactly.
But what does that mean for someone using it?
Think of it like this. You wouldn't use a sledgehammer to hang a picture, right?
Right.
You choose a tool that's appropriate for the job. So if you're a hobbyist coder,
Yeah.
a smaller Qwen 2.5 Coder model might be perfect. But a large company with complex projects might need the power of the 32B model.
Okay.
And here's what's really neat. For each size, they offer both a base model and an instruct model.
Base and instruct, what's the difference there?
Yeah, this is where it gets really interesting.
It does get interesting. An instruct model is like a ready-to-go chef's knife.
Okay.
It's been trained on a massive data set of instructions and codes, so it understands what you want it to do right out of the box.
Okay.
A base model is more like a raw block of high-quality steel.
Yeah.
You need to shape and sharpen it, which is called fine-tuning, to make it perfect for your specific coding tasks.
So if I'm just getting started with AI coding tools, an instruct model sounds like a good place to begin.
Yeah.
But if I'm a pro and I know exactly what I need, I can fine-tune a base model for more control.
Exactly. And to add to the diversity here, Qwen 2.5 Coder can handle over 40 programming languages. We're talking everything from the popular Python and Java to more specialized languages like Haskell and Racket.
Wow. Over 40 languages.
Over 40 languages.
So no matter how niche your project is, there's a good chance Qwen 2.5 Coder can help you out.
That's the idea. They're really trying to cater to a wide range of developers.
All right, so we've covered powerful and diverse. What about practical? How is this actually being used in the real world?
Well, Alibaba Cloud didn't just create these models and leave developers to figure it out on their own. They've integrated Qwen 2.5 Coder into Cursor, which is a popular code assistant tool.
So if I'm already using Cursor, I could just start using Qwen 2.5 Coder right away.
It's designed to be that seamless. This is key to making these AI tools accessible to everyone. It's not about learning a whole new system. It's about integrating this power into the tools developers are already familiar with.
That makes a lot of sense. I know some people are intimidated by AI, so making it easy to use is huge. But it's not just Cursor, right? They've also done something with OpenWeb UI.
You're right. They've integrated it with OpenWeb UI, which is a platform for creating what they call artifacts.
Artifacts, is that like digital art or something?
It is. Think of it as visual works generated from code.
Yeah.
So you can use Qwen 2.5 Coder to create things like interactive simulations, graphical designs, and even data visualizations all through code.
Hold on, so it's not just about writing code for apps and websites. I could use it to make like a cool animation or something.
Exactly. They've even shared some examples of what's possible. We're talking about a simulation of the three-body problem, which is super complex, a Lissajous curve, and even something as practical as drafting a resume.
A resume. Now that's thinking outside the box.
Right. And they've even got a dancing emoji example. It might sound silly, but these examples really highlight the potential of Qwen 2.5 Coder to go beyond traditional coding and tap into those creative applications. It's like having an AI that's not just a programmer, but also an artist in a way.
That's amazing. And I hear they're also launching a code mode on the Tongi website.
Yes, and this is going to make it even easier to create things like websites, mini games, and data charts, all powered by Qwen 2.5 Coder.
So what does all of this mean for the future of coding? Is AI going to take over completely?
That's the big question, isn't it? But I think it's more nuanced than that. It's not about replacing human coders, but about giving them incredibly powerful tools.
So it's more like AI is becoming our coding partner.
Exactly. And that partnership has the potential to change the way we code in some pretty fundamental ways. But we'll dive into that more in the next part of our deep dive.
All right, so stay tuned, everyone, because things are about to get even more interesting.
You know, I think it's helpful to look back at how other technologies have impacted creative fields. Think about photography. When digital cameras came along, some people feared that traditional photographers would become obsolete.
And I guess there were some big changes, but photographers adapted, right?
Exactly. It didn't replace photography, it transformed it. Now anyone can take decent photos with their phone, but professional photographers are still in high demand. They're using those new tools to create even more stunning and innovative work. I see AI coding tools in a similar light.
So instead of replacing coders, AI is more likely to push the field forward, create new possibilities, and maybe even make it more accessible to people who might not have considered coding before.
That's what I'm thinking. We might see a whole new wave of citizen coders who can leverage these AI tools to build things they never could have before.
That's a pretty exciting thought. Speaking of pushing boundaries, let's dive a little deeper into how Qwen 2.5 Coder actually stacks up against the competition. I was reading about its performance on some pretty intense coding benchmarks like MVP 3-shot. What's that all about?
Oh, yes, MBPP 3-shot. It's a benchmark that tests how well a model can generate code from natural language descriptions. So basically, you give it a description of what you want the code to do, and the model has to figure out how to write that code. It's a tough test, but Qwen 2.5 Coder did really well across all its different model sizes.
So it's like, hey AI, I want to create a program that sorts a list of numbers. Go. And Qwen 2.5 Coder just spits out the code.
Pretty much. And what's interesting is that the team behind Qwen 2.5 Coder chose to use MBPP 3-shot specifically for evaluating their base models, the ones that haven't been fine-tuned for specific tasks.
Why is that? Is it like a tougher test or something?
They did a lot of research and found that MBPP 3-shot is actually a more reliable way to measure how well a base model will perform in real-world scenarios. It's not just about getting a high score on a test, it's about making sure the model can actually translate those skills into practical use.
Okay, so they're not just chasing high scores, they're focusing on how these models will actually be used. Makes sense. But what about the instruct models? How do they evaluate those?
For the instruct models, they use something called the live code bench, specifically focusing on questions from the most recent 4 months.
Why the recent questions? Is that some kind of AI coding trend I'm not aware of?
It's not about trends. It's about making sure the model is truly learning. By using the most recent questions, they can be sure that the model hasn't already seen them during its training. It's a way to test its ability to generalize and adapt to new problems.
So it's like giving the student a pop quiz to see if they really understand the material, not just if they memorize the textbook.
Exactly. It's about pushing the model to think for itself and apply its knowledge to situations it hasn't encountered before.
That's pretty impressive. You know, earlier we were talking about Alibaba Cloud's focus on developing powerful reasoning models centered around code. What does that actually mean? Is this AI going to start writing philosophy papers about the meaning of code?
Not quite, but it does point to a really interesting direction for AI development. They're not content with AI that just generates code. They want AI that can understand the deeper meaning of that code, its implications, and even anticipate potential problems.
So instead of just writing code, it's like the AI is becoming a code critic, analyzing it, finding flaws, maybe even suggesting ways to make it better.
That's a great way to think about it. It's about moving beyond syntax, the structure of the code, and into semantics, the meaning and intent behind the code.
That's fascinating. But let's be real for a second. All this talk about powerful AI is exciting, but some people are worried about the potential downsides. Like, what happens to human coders if AI can do all this stuff? Are we all out of a job?
That's a valid concern, and it comes up every time there's a big technological leap. But think back to those photographers. The best ones embrace those new digital tools and use them to elevate their craft.
So you're saying AI is more like a powerful new tool for coders, not a replacement.
Exactly. It's about empowering human coders, not making them obsolete. Imagine AI handling those repetitive tasks, finding those tricky bugs, even generating basic code structures so that human developers can focus on the bigger picture, the creative problem solving, the things that require human ingenuity.
That actually makes a lot of sense. It's like let the AI handle the grunt work and let the humans focus on the cool stuff. But what about the fact that Qwen 2.5 coder is open source? Why is that such a big deal?
Open sourcing these models is a game changer for a couple of reasons. First, it fosters transparency. Developers can look under the hood, see how these models work, and even contribute to their development.
So it's not some black box that only a few companies control. Everyone can access it, learn from it, even improve it.
Exactly. It creates a collaborative environment where innovation can happen much faster.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
But you said there were a couple of reasons why open source is so important. What's the second one?
Accessibility. Open sourcing these models makes them available to a much wider range of people. Not just big tech companies, but startups, individual developers, researchers, students, anyone who wants to experiment with AI coding tools.
So it's like democratizing AI, giving everyone the chance to play with these powerful tools.
Exactly. And that's incredibly exciting because it opens up a whole world of possibilities. We could see a surge in innovation from unexpected places, new solutions to problems we haven't even thought of yet.
I like the sound of that. More innovation, more creativity, more people empowered to build cool things with code. But I guess with all this power comes some responsibility, right?
Absolutely. We can't just ignore the potential ethical implications of AI, especially as it becomes more sophisticated and integrated into our lives.
So we need to make sure these tools are used for good, that they benefit everyone, and that we don't create unintended consequences down the line.
That's right. It's an ongoing conversation, but a crucial one. We need to be mindful of potential biases, ensure fairness, and prioritize human well-being as we develop and deploy these powerful technologies.
It's not just about building cool tech, it's about building a better future. It feels like we've only just scratched the surface of what's possible with AI and coding. What are your thoughts on the future of Qwen coders specifically? I know the team behind it hinted at some exciting things in their blog post.
They did. What really caught my eye was their emphasis on developing even more powerful reasoning models centered around code.
Yeah.
It's like they want to take AI beyond just writing code to a place where it can truly grasp the logic and intent behind it.
So almost like an AI coding philosopher.
Yeah.
But seriously, what would that even look like in practice?
Imagine AI that can not only write code, but also anticipate potential bugs, suggest optimizations, and even generate documentation automatically. It would completely change the way we approach software development.
Wow, that would be amazing. Less time debugging, more time focusing on the creative side of coding. But is that even realistic?
I think it's more a question of when, not if. The field of AI is moving incredibly fast, and Qwen coders' focus on code-centric reasoning could be a big step towards that future.
Well, I'm definitely excited to see what they come up with next. This whole deep dive into Qwen 2.5 coder has been a real eye-opener. It's clear that Alibaba Cloud is pushing the boundaries of what's possible with open-source AI coding tools.
Absolutely. And what's really commendable is their focus on accessibility, diversity, and practicality. They're making these powerful tools available to everyone, which could really democratize AI and accelerate innovation in the coding world.